All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We're about to kick off the event now. So good morning to those also on the call as well. I'm Shalowa Isaac, and I'll be your host for today. And we're going to present to you a fantastic opportunity here and answer all your questions. So today's event is being presented to you by Abrigo Limited. They're a real estate development company and they specialize in real estate investments, advisory and projects as well. And they do everything from the team selection, projects and construction team selections, and also design. And they also build a target market in mind for offtake. Now, what we're going to present today is a project called the Lux at JELB, which is a 15 townhome project based in Atlanta, Georgia. And this presents an opportunity for Nigerian investors to have a practical way to safeguard their wealth and also grow their returns and create a foreign real estate portfolio. So the start of this event will be an introductory video, and in this video you will see the current state of the project. You will also see the neighborhood in which the townhomes are located. Following on from the video, we will have a panel event with the stakeholders of this project that will include the developers, realtors, closing attorneys, and finance partners as well. Then after the panel, we will do a Q&A discussion to answer any of your questions. And if after the Q&A you would like to speak with a member of the team one-on-one, we will also facilitate that. So with no further ado, I think we'll watch the introductory video first. Thank you. Great, thank you so much for that. I hope that was a decent introduction to the project. As you can see, it's an ongoing project. And now we will begin a panel discussion for you to receive more information from the stakeholders in this project. So I'll quickly do introductions to our panelists, and I'll start with the ladies first. So we have, first of all, we have Janae Sidbury. And she is an experienced real estate broker and realtor from Watson Realty Co. She also has a deep knowledge and understanding of the Atlanta real estate market and invests herself. And then we have Samantha Johnson right next to her. And Samantha is a real estate market specialist. And she's also the managing partner, realtor at Synergy Properties Group in Maryland, USA. And today we also have some panelists that are joining us via Zoom. And the first person I'll introduce is Bria Early. So Bria Early is an experienced real estate broker and realtor from Watson Realty Co. And she's a property investor with also a deep knowledge of Atlanta real estate markets. And then we have Dr. Terence Drakes. So Terence is also joining us live from the US. He's a real estate project finance expert and has many years of experience with lending, real estate lending for foreign nationals. And he's also the managing partner at Equinox Capital Partners. I'd also like to introduce and welcome Harold Hudson from the Hudson Law Firm that's located in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the managing attorney at Hudson Law, and he is also doing the closing for this project. Another panelist that we have is Korj. So Korj Chum Barima. He is a mortgage banker with Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, and they are the preferred buyer lenders of the project. And Korj himself has a good wealth of experience in financial consulting and within the banking and mortgage industry. Now, to my right, I'll start with Kwabena Poku Amanfo. So Kwabena is the founder and the CEO of Irene Capital Management, also known as ECM. And they're a private equity firm that invest in the real estate sector. And they are an affiliate partner to Abrigo. And they do this via directorship and partnerships. And Kwabena actually has a very kind of fantastic career. He did 10 years as an investment banker at JP Morgan and was also the CEO of the Nigerian investment bank, Diamond Capital. He has experience in the origination and execution of M&A and corporate finance transactions and has done many of these specifically in the real estate sector. And then finally, also to my direct right, we have the managing director of Abrigo, Ihoni Iwagu, and he's also the managing partner of Abrigo LLC, which is the US-based development company that's bringing you this opportunity today. And he is a real estate investor with many years of experience, and he has experience in identifying, conceptualizing, and also implementing successful real estate projects in Nigeria and also in the US. So that will conclude my introductions, and we will quickly go on to the panel event so that we can give you more information on the 15 townhomes project. So, Kwabena, my first question is to you. I think it would be great for the audience to know, what is your view on the real estate sector in this current economic climate, especially in relation to the next 2 to 3 years?
Shalewa, thank you. Globally, as we head into 2023, it's going to be a challenging year for most of the major economies, including the USA. Following years of cheap money and losing of monetary policy because of the pandemic, central banks are now aggressively tightening monetary policy. And most experts are predicting that there's actually going to be a recession in different major economies, but particularly in the US. So the main question is, what sort of a recession are we going to have, whether it's a soft landing or a hard landing? But irrespective of that, most people are expecting a recession. So the question becomes, what investment opportunities do investors have? Predominantly or historically, stock markets have performed very poorly or underperformed in recessions, or at a minimum, they've been directionless. For example, yesterday in the US, interest rates went up by 0.5%, and the stock market tanked in excess of about 500 units. Nevertheless, real estate, irrespective of whatever environment we're in, is a good asset class to be in. However, in recession, it actually is when investors have a flight to quality, real estate becomes the store of capital, and therefore it's a good investment class to be in. So as the other panelists talk about the yields on this investment, you have to sort of evaluate that against the yield that you're going to get in alternative investments. For Nigerian investors who are actually Naira-based, against the long-term trend of the Naira's depreciation against the US dollar, real estate also provides a strategy for capital preservation, particularly those who are purely Naira-based. And I'll give you an example. For example, I'll use very big numbers for ease of reference. So today, and this works with whether FX is at the parallel market or official rate. So today, the US dollar is effectively about 800 Naira to the dollar. So if one had, say, the fund of $1 million to invest, that would be equivalent to about 800 million Naira. If you were purely a Naira investor and you earn, say, 10% on that, in a year's time, you're going to get about 880 million Naira. In the same year, if the Naira has depreciated to, say, 1,000 to 1, which is not unrealistic, then your $1 million now becomes $800,000. So not only are you not getting a yield on your investment, but you're actually losing capital. However, if you were a dollar-based investor and you sort of invested in this opportunity, let's say you're getting 5% or even 10% for ease of reference. Your $1 million in a year's time is going to be either $1 million plus 50, which is 1.05, or $1 million plus 100K, which is 1.1. If you convert that at the rate of 1,000, which I did say, then you're in a Naira basis, you're earning up with returns in excess of about 30 to 35%. So on that basis, not only do you get a return, but you get to preserve your capital, which is the first rule of investing before you seek a yield. And then obviously you're maintaining your purchase power, even in an inflationary Naira base where I think Naira inflation is in excess of 15%. So if you're earning something of the order of about 30%, then you're beating inflation, and you're getting a return in real capital terms. So I would encourage everybody else to look at this U.S. investment along those lines and take it from there. Other people are going to talk about the idiosyncrasies of the real estate market, particularly in Atlanta, and the historic performance of that. So that is the basis of which one needs to evaluate investments in real estate in the next 12 to 24 months. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was actually very insightful. Thank you for that. And then my next question, I mean, we always know that when it comes to development projects like this, the foundation is very important. So I would like to ask you, Ihonyi, who actually makes up the development team for this project?
Thank you for that question, Shaliwa. We have the design engineers. They're the ones who design the site plans. And we have the architects. They come up with the architectural drawings for the buildings. Also, we have the structural engineers who are involved, and we have the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing consultants who are involved in the project. Obviously, you have the developers and you have the realtors. I mean, without the realtors, we wouldn't be selling the property. So that is what makes up the team. On the other hand, when it comes to the sales aspect of it and closing for title, we have the preferred lenders who give out the mortgages if, people are not buying outright and they're seeking a mortgage. And we also have the closing attorney who makes sure that, closing is done properly. There's no lien, there's no encumbrance, on the title, and the title is clean. Thank you.
Okay, great. It sounds like a solid team. However, could you also let us know what experience they have in similar projects like this?
Okay. I didn't mention the general contractors. The architects, the engineers, the general contractors are all licensed in the state of Georgia. So without a license, you cannot operate. So they're all professionals. And all of us on the team, the project team, have many years of experience in projects like this. The GCs, the architects, the engineers have many years of experience and are licensed.
Great, and they're licensed. Fantastic. So now I would like to pass a question to Bria. Bria is joining us from the US on the call. And so Bria, it would be really great for us to know, based on the Atlanta market, what is the growth potential for investors? We can pass the question to Janae. Yeah, so I think Janae can answer the question. So Janae, we'd just like to ask you if you could let us know what returns are for the Atlanta real estate market, and how does that also relate to this JELB project?
Thank you. That's a good question. So the growth potential in Atlanta is increasing. We have a trend that is proven, an upward trend, as far as sales, as far as investments and everyday buying power. Atlanta ranks number 3 in the U.S. as far as Fortune 500 companies. This project is in the heart of Atlanta. It is in the beating heart of the city of Atlanta. Atlanta is walkable to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's walkable to all of the historical Atlanta Black colleges, and it has an upwards trend as far as investments, and it's a very proven fact. I think about 10 to 15% that's without any COVID or any over asking or anything like that we've had in the past 3 years. Even through the pandemic, there's always been an upward trend in appraised values and appreciated values in the Atlanta market.
And why should an investor really put money into the Lux at JELB?
Good question. Okay, you want to put money into this project because getting it on the ground floor allows you the opportunity to pick and choose which investments or what kind of investor you would like to be in this project. For example, you can get in on the ground floor and you can buy on our pre-sale off plan, as you guys call it, opportunity, which allows for you to hold and then at completion resell at the appraised values at that time. Or you can hold and gain the equity and the rental income from the project as well. And either way, it's a great exit strategy, just depending on how and who you are as an investor.
And that's really great, Janae. So obviously the timing is a good to join us right now on the project.
Correct.
So that's good then. So maybe Coach can also add some color on how investors can actually purchase units in this project. Coach is joining us online from the US.
There you go. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. Okay. So my name is Coach. And I'm with a mortgage banker with a company, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. We've been in business for 25 years, and I've been in the industry for a little over 16 years. Now, with the suite of products, especially for what we are doing with Abrigo and for Lux, is that we're offering an incentive, a lender credit of $2,500 to help towards closing costs. We also have a suite of various products that those who are seeking finance can get approved for. For U.S. nationals, going score-based, we can go as low as a 600 credit score for any U.S. nationals. For foreign nationals, Terrence, who is a colleague, will be talking more about that. We also have some other incentives as well. There is within where that project is located, it's called Vine City. And Vine City has an initiative with Invest Atlanta. Invest Atlanta is a affordable housing entity. And they're also providing $10,000 for any first-time home buyers to help them with the initiative of buying in that area. And so the Lux at JELB is very well situated to help and promote homeownership as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Coach, for letting us know how U.S. nationals can get involved. However, Terrence, could you also let us know how foreign nationals can purchase units at the Lux? Okay. So maybe we'll come back to the questions that we have for Dr. Terrence. We'll move on to Ihonyi. It would be great if you could let us know what the price points are for the townhome units and also what the project timeline is. What milestones do we still have left?
Thank you, Charlotte. Could you repeat the question again?
Okay, so it would be great to know what the price points are for the units and also to know what the project timeline is. What are the milestones that we have left and before completion?
Okay, thank you for that question. The price point for the units is $560,000. The units are 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. The square footage for the buildings are We have two building types. We have 6 units that are 2,609 square feet. That is roughly about 200 square meters, thereabout, or 250. We have the 3 units there and a half baths, 9 units, which are 2,207 square feet. That is about 180 square meters. Our timeline is 15 months. Right now, we're almost done, 80% done with the infrastructure works. Now, the infrastructure works includes putting the storm drains in place, putting the sewer in place, putting the water services in place, and connecting them to the city mains. Now that has been done. The next step is to move over to the power connection. But right now we're just laying the conduits for the wires and also the platform for the transformers. Now, once we're done, with that, we move over to the curb, gutters, and the grading. And once that is finished, we work on the foundation and we pour the concrete, and we're ready to go vertical. We're ready to go up. That is the actual building.
Okay, great. And then I would love to see if we can connect with Harold on the Zoom call, because we know that sometimes in transactions like this, other costs come through. So Harold, it would be good if you could let us know what exactly the closing costs are that investors should prepare for. Okay. All right, so we'll go back to Terence, the question that we had for Terence. Terence, we wanted to let the audience know, how can foreign nationals actually purchase units at the Lux?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Foreign nationals, there are a number of approaches that we could take in terms of having foreign nationals purchase property in the United States. Historically, what we have done is look at foreign nationals who have a U.S. profile, which would include a U.S. credit score and a U.S. bank account and a visa. Now, those particular metrics are not written in stone in order for you to qualify. You do not necessarily need to have a U.S. credit in order to qualify to purchase real estate in the United States. We could use foreign credit. There's a way in which we could establish that you have a financial picture, which is what we're interested in, to establish your foreign credit. We also could use a credit reference letter from a financial institution in your country. And we would, of course, want to see that you have the capacity to debt service the loan that you are taking out. And we have some alternatives to that also. Even if you do not have the capacity, the financial heft to debt service, what we would do is we would underwrite the property and make sure the property itself has the income necessary to service the debt. So there's a distinction there between the two. So essentially what we're going to look for if you are a foreign national is the ability to repay the loan. We want to see that you have a visa, and we want to see that you have a U.S. bank account. With those three elements, you'll be fine. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, although I have one more for you. I wanted to know, is it possible for foreign nationals to attain mortgage financing in this project or similar projects?
Yes, absolutely. The steps that I just outlined, the criteria that I just outlined, that's what we would look for in order for you to obtain financing. Perhaps I should take this opportunity to mention also, if in fact you have a group of people who are interested in pooling resources, and some of those people do not have some of the criteria that I just mentioned, you could still work through those issues. And you do so simply by ensuring that at least one person in the group qualifies. The other people, the other members of an established LLC, once their ownership is a sub 10%, we do not underwrite them, but they still have ownership interests. And then, of course, there's ways in which you could tweak how you share your revenues, regardless of your ownership interest. So for those people who may say, well, I don't have a visa, I don't even have a passport. Well, you don't necessarily need all of that, but one person in the group must have those particular information that we would need.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Dr. Terence. I'm sure that information is helpful for us here. Before we go to Harold, I know, Ihonu, you just spoke about the price point and you priced it at 560,000. You also spoke about the project timeline as well, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and etc. However, what is actually the quality assurance on this project?
Thank you for that, Charlotte. There are checks and balances. Thanks to the City of Atlanta. Before you go into a project like this, you would have to obtain a permit, and you also have to obtain approvals. We have obtained, permits and approvals for this project. It takes a while to do this. There are codes and ordinances that you have to follow. We have started the infrastructure work, and before we started with the storm drains, we had the inspectors come out, look into the project, look into the works that are being done to make sure that we followed the approved plans. Now, once we finished the storm drains, inspectors came to the site, took a look at the work that was done, gave us a pass before we moved on to the next stage, which was the sewer, the water, and, going forward to the curbs, the gutters, and the grading. Now, once we're done with that, like I said earlier on, we move to the foundation. That has to be passed before we start building vertical, that is going up. So it follows the same process from where we even demolish buildings, clear the site, all the way to completion. The city must be involved. They must make sure that we follow the codes and the standards. Now, once you finish the project, you have something we call the final inspection. Now, the final inspection, the inspectors come in, they check everything, and once it's okay, they pass it and you're issued a CO. A CO is a certificate of occupancy, similar to what we get here in Lagos State, which is like a certificate of habitation to say that, okay, the place is safe and it meets the standard for you, to move in. So that you're sure that there's quality assurance. And I would also want to mention, in terms of the financing for the project, our project is 100% financed already. So investors wouldn't have, the concern that, if we don't have too many people or quite a number of people who are investing in this project right now, are we able to finish this project? That is not the case. We have a lender and we already have funding for the project, and we're due to complete the project without any problems as well.
Great. That actually sounds quite reassuring. So thank you for that. Do we have Harold on the call? We don't. Okay. So if you have questions regarding the closing costs, please let us know at the end and we'll give you a call. Then right now it would be good to...
I would just like to add, Harold is not on the call, but I would like to say something about the closing attorney and what they do. As you're aware, when you buy a property, I will just use an example. When you buy a property, right, over there, you have the closing attorney, whose job is it to make sure that the title is cleared, to make sure that all the parties involved in the transaction are settled, to make sure that all the taxes, insurance that may be outstanding on the property is paid before a new owner takes it. They also make sure that the payments, most of the payments, payments for purchase of this property are usually escrowed with the closing attorney. And once all documents are signed, once every document is in place, and it's okay for closing, check mark okay for closing, then the transaction goes through. So we don't also receive payment until all that is done, and the closing attorney's job is to to handle that. And they're also licensed in the state of Georgia to perform this service or this task.
And in your experience, do you know how long that process normally takes?
It depends on the contract, but I would like Janae to speak a little bit on it. She's from the U.S. side, and she's a realtor, so they deal with that all the time.
Thank you for throwing me that question. I was very eager to answer it. So, although I'm not an attorney, I can give you guys a broad scope of how it generally goes. As we know in real estate, a lot of things are negotiable, and you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. But as far as the contracts are concerned, the average contract takes about 30 to 45 days. And then within that time frame, there are different steps and different stages of that. So you will have a stage where you have quote unquote earnest money, which is typically escrowed with the closing attorney. There's a period where they have where they search the title. That means they will pull the title for the last 150 years. And if there's any cloud or encumbrance on that said title, it gives the seller enough time to either get that clarified or get that rectified, or have some type of rebuttal of why there is a cloud on that title. And then at that time, once that's checked off, you get what behind said the clear to close. So typically this whole time frame can take about 30 to 45 days. The average closing cost, again, I'm not an attorney, but I'll give you a guesstimation or an estimate. It's usually about 1 to 3% of the purchase price. So that's just a little general scope, since we couldn't get Harold on the line.
Okay, no, thank you so much. So we said 1 to 3% approximately, which is great, and you said 30 to 45 days. That's fantastic. I think we might also have Harold on who can add to that. I don't know. We'll try once more. Good afternoon, Harold. Good morning to you. Can you hear us? You are muted. Okay. Yes. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. So the closing process is very standard for these units, as well as any other units or single-family homes that we would handle. We handle hundreds of closings every month, and the costs are set. They don't fluctuate. There are some local taxes that are functions of the purchase price and the loan amount, and the title insurance is a function of the loan amount and the purchase price. But everything is set by either statute in Georgia or by published title insurance rates. Everything can be disclosed well in advance. If anyone would like to have a sample of what a settlement statement would look like, given a certain purchase price, which we've already gone over what the projected prices of the units will be, and projected loan amounts, we can supply those settlement statements for people in advance.
Great, Harold. Thank you so much for that. So he's mentioned that you could ask for the settlement statements to see an example. However, Harold, it would also be good for us to know, in your experience, how long does the process actually take?
So, as was stated previously, the process, from our standpoint, the process is going to be a quick one. The reason it'll be quick, which in could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. And the reason that it would be that quick is because in this situation, we know who the seller is. We've already done a title search on the seller, as opposed to perhaps a single family home contract that a realtor would bring to us where we don't know who the seller is, and we have to do a title search and perhaps some curative work or some additional investigation on the seller's title. That's not the case here. We know who the seller is. We've already looked at the title, and everything is clear, is going to be easy to do each one of these transactions because there are no issues. So if somebody went under contract in a situation like here, wanted to close quickly, we could close within a week or two.
Oh, that's very insightful, actually. Thank you, Harold, for that. So we're coming close to the end. We just have a couple more questions. Terence, Dr. Terence, if you're still on the call, it would be great to know exactly what are the incentives for foreign nationals to actually buy into this project.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, I think the incentives are the standard ones that were mentioned before. You're looking at the appreciation of the asset. You're looking at the possibility of long-term rental income. And of course, if you're a foreign national, especially if you're Nigerian, as the previous speaker said, you look at the advantages of investing in the U.S. as against holding on to your Naira, and you actually come out ahead of the game because the exchange rate would be one that is advantageous to you. So there are a number of incentives there. All of them, I think, would bode well for any investor in this market.
Great, thank you. Okay, Ihan, you would also like to add something to that?
I would also like to add that the prices we're offering for property off plan are discounted. We're looking at a yield of about 10 to 15%, as Janae said, when you look at the historical data 36 months ago. So you getting the property at a discounted price right now is an incentive. So let me just use a simple case study or example. I mean, you buy the property at 560. The project is supposed to take us, 12 to 15 months. In 12 to 15 months, if it has grown by 10%, you have equity built in there of, 56 grand. It's a no-brainer. At the time the project is complete, and if it's at 15%, even more, but we want to be conservative. We're always conservative. And at the time the project is complete, you could decide that, you know what, I want to pull out some cash from this. And the smart thing to do is to refinance the property. Now, once you refinance the property, you pull out cash, and you could use that cash to invest in other real estate, assets. You could also use it to do whatever you want. Now you might ask yourself the question, if I pull out cash, there's going to be interest that needs to be paid on a monthly basis. How do I handle that interest? And that is where you could rent out the property. In that area, as I speak today, the monthly rental is $3,500, which is $3,500. So that would take care of the monthly interest payments and whatever costs that you have while you have the funds, to do whatever you want to do. Now, you should also look at it this other way. If you're doing 15% on a 560 thereabout, you're looking at about, 10 to 15%, you're looking at about, $56,000, about to $75,000. Now, at $75,000, if you divide that by 12 months, you're looking at about $3,900, dollars on a monthly basis. I mean, it's a no-brainer, net of your rent. So you have preserved your capital, and you've also gained as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That was actually very clear. And yeah, net of the mortgage payment, exactly. Yeah. No, it sounds like a good deal. So we've spoken today about the Lux at JELB, which is the 15 townhomes project in Atlanta. However, are there other opportunities for investment that are coming now or in the near future?
So, yes, that is why we're here. This is the first of a series. And the reason why we picked this particular project is because it's ongoing and it's something that people are keen to right now. However, we're involved in fix and flips, co-living spaces. I would just break that down a little bit. You get you get a single family unit. You create more rooms in the space. So for instance, in Nigeria, for instance, we call it self-contained or, ensuite. I can see a router here laughing. That's what we call it, self-contained or ensuite. You create the rooms. So from a single family home that say maybe about 1,400 square feet, you could create about 5 rooms. Now from the 5 rooms, you could generate, conservatively, $400 from each of these rooms. So a week. So you're looking at about $2,000 a week, and you're looking at about $8,000 in a month. Now, when you take out all your costs, the cost is usually about 15 to about 20%. The rest of it, it's actually a no-brainer, and it doesn't take much to do. We also have the micro homes. The micro homes is a new concept, and I would like Samantha Johnson to speak about it.
Thank you so much for asking the question. So the U.S. housing market is undergoing a market correction from the unprecedented events of low interest rates in 2020 and 2021. You're probably thinking that was a good time to buy, right? And it was. But any time is a good time to buy in real estate in the U.S. You just have to find the opportunities. Forbes magazine in 2019 had an article that identified real estate as the #1 source of building wealth in the U.S., with opportunities that consist of cash flow and appreciation. Besides the amazing investment opportunity at JELB, other opportunities in Atlanta, Maryland, New York, and Houston consist of investing in micro homes that are nestled in a micro community. So you're probably asking, what's a micro home, right? Micro homes are small, contemporary, modern homes which ranges, in size from 65 to 100 square meters, which may seem small, but data shows that the ideal client wants to spend their money on traveling instead of large homes. Look at me, for example. I live in a 1-bedroom condo in Maryland, and I'm here with you great people here in Nigeria. These spaces usually consist of 1 bedroom, a living room, bathroom, kitchenette, and is eco-friendly. The actual micro communities will have amenities such as community walking paths, play areas, dog parks, and gated entrances. They are the solution to the affordable housing crisis in the U.S. due to the low cost in actually building these homes. Ideal clients consist of first-time home buyers, millennials, which were born between 1981 and 1996, and by baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964. This creates an opportunity for any investor at any price point. Also, we are all here for the JELB project, which is the first initial project, and however, we want you guys to also be interested in the other projects that we have to offer. Thank you.
That was fantastic, Samantha, and highly articulate. I didn't know about micro homes, so I think I have a good understanding of that. So thank you. And that actually brings us to the end of the panel session. So we're going to have a Q&A session, and if anybody wants to ask a question to the panelists here or someone on the Zoom call, please raise your hand and let us know your first name and who your question is directed to. Thank you. We have somebody with a question over here, please. Can someone give the mic? Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Pleased to be here today. My name is David Mba. I'm from MDS Properties. My question goes to the mortgage provider. I think it's Atlantic Bay Mortgages. Am I correct? Is that the name? Okay, good. I wanted to know what sort of interest rates are available for the mortgage for foreign nationals, like people from Nigeria. Oh, for Terence. Okay.
Terence, did you hear the question? Dr. Terence, please let us know if you would like us to repeat the question. Okay, Bria is on the call and she'd like to give you an answer. And so, Bria, would you be able to let us know what the interest rates are for Nigerian investors in a transaction like this? Thank you.
So the interest rates are fluctuating, but there are a number of different ways that you can lower your interest rates. So we have a few different options for buy downs. So if you wanted to basically buy down your rate to lock in a lower rate for the initial 2 years while we wait on interest rates to stabilize, then you have that option as well. We've kind of worked with our lenders to create as many different options to make it feasible for you to buy. So the number one thing that we're seeing most common with investors, first-time home buyers, even seasoned home buyers, is to offer that option of being able to buy your rate down so that you're able to lock in a significantly lower monthly mortgage. And then at the time of when your 2 years, expires, you can either decide to refinance at that point so that you're able to permanently lock in a lower interest rate, whatever they may be at that time.
Thank you for that, Bria. And
I wanted to chime in to answer the guy's question. This is Corge with Atlantic Bay. Just to let you know, generally in the U.S., the interest rates are in the 6 to 7% arena. It's a 6 to 7% arena. And what Bria had indicated, yes, there's the temporary buy down that helps one acquire or get into a home with a lower payment. So if it's a 6%, you can buy it down to a 4%. And then the next year it goes to a 5%. And then the final year until 30, if you're doing a 30-year mortgage, then it goes to the 6%. When it comes to foreign nationals, I know that the rates are probably a little higher. They might be from 7 to 8% for foreign national in that range. Okay.
Hey, can you guys hear me now? This is Terrence.
Great, Terrence. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We've been having technical difficulties here. So I was hearing all of you, but obviously you couldn't hear me. So I followed the conversations. And those two responses were generally on the mark, especially what Bria said about buying down the rates. That's an excellent strategy. For foreign nationals, yes, your interest rate is a little more elevated, but also it depends on what you choose. Are you looking for short-term financing, which could be 5 years, medium-term, which is about maybe 10 years, or are you looking for 20 plus years of financing? All of those things would influence your interest rate. So I think generally we've covered the response to your question. I don't want to repeat what the previous speaker said.
Okay, all right. So my second question, I think it goes to Mr. Ihai. With this particular package, I mean the Lux by JELB project, is it anywhere linked to the Citizenship by Investment EB5 program? Is it in any way linked to that?
It is not as of this time. But if you want to do that, we have attorneys that you could speak with, partners that you could speak with. So maybe after the event, you and I could have a one-on-one. But I mean, they will advise you better.
Thank you for your questions. Do we have any other questions in the hall or on the Zoom call?
While we're waiting, may I also add something?
Sure, Bria, we can hear you.
Okay. So I know with interest rates having increased and there being such a heavy emphasis on what the interest rates are, and of course it is important because that does dictate what your monthly mortgage is going to be. In Atlanta, we're still seeing that the percentage of list price received on homes in Atlanta and surrounding areas is about 99%, which is almost 100 of what sellers, are looking to receive. Even during the pandemic, when interest rates were significantly lower, we were seeing about 103, 104%. So for interest rates to have more than doubled and for sellers to still receive pretty much what they're asking on their homes shows the growth that we've continued to receive in Atlanta, as well as the appreciation values are still increasing. So I know interest rates and a possible recession and things like that are on the forefront of everyone's mind, especially investors, because of course, everyone's looking to get the highest return on their initial investment. But I want to remind everyone that throughout this volatile market, we have not, specifically in Atlanta, in Georgia, we have not seen a major decrease in home values, the appreciation that is growing over time. So year to date, we're still seeing increases. So do know and do have the confidence that when investing in Atlanta and in the metro surrounding areas, we have a very unique in a very different market that I know is not comparable to a lot of other markets that are truly suffering and that, may not see the exact same amount of values during this time.
No, great, Bria. That's very helpful. And I don't know if you have questions. So on that note, we are available after we round this up for one-on-one discussions. So that brings us to the end of the event. Thank you so much for coming today. You've all been given an investor card. You should have been given one at the entrance or have one on your seat. So please fill out the information and someone from the team will contact you at the time that you wrote on the card. And there's tea and refreshments outside as well. Thank you for your time today.